So in this tutorial, we're going to be building everything on the server side before we will go into this user interface using HTML and CSS. So we're going to be using three packages. First of all, Express, which we would use instead of running HTTP create server. Instead of running this, we're going to be using Express to get this done with. Next, we're going to be using Axios to make a request to this API. Next, we're going to be using sockets.io. The introduction video of this project, I discussed about this website having the ability to reload itself without me clicking on this reload button. That means it could update like a React application, and we're able to achieve that using the socket.io. So you could search about all these packages on npm and you get the detailed explanation of these packages on npm. So you see the socket.io enables real-time bi-directional event-based communication, and it consists of a Node.js server and a JavaScript client library for the browser. And so we're going to be importing the library in our JavaScript file and so many other things later on. So without any further ado, let's go into our VS Code. So we're going to leave the HTTP and we just need to install a few things. So you could close this terminal, but I'm just going to add another terminal. So I get my Node terminal and my normal terminal right here. So I'm going to say npm install express axios and socket.io. So just give it a few minutes and you get a node module and a package log.json. So now we need to require these files. First of all, we're requiring express. So we need to require these files. First of all, we're requiring express and say require express. Now the next is Axios. The next is sockets.io. So we have the the four things we need requested already. Next, we want to create app using Express. So basically, this just means we're initializing an application. So instead of using HTTP, we'll be using this app right here. Next, we need to create server. Now this server is what we'll use. We'll call the socket and IO on this server. So now we use HTTP dot create server on our app, and we'll call the IO on our server. Okay, so on port 8000. Now we save, and that is all we need to do in importing in creating constants. Okay, so now we have to do this time using app.listen, and we're going to remove the whole of this code. So we're left with our app listening on port 8000. So this is our server right here. So the first thing that we need to do is to create the function for fetching the data from our CoinGecko API. So first of all, we need to go through the CoinGecko API. They have pricing, but we're not going to go into that for now. So this is the link to make a request to. So you just have to copy this link and head back. Now let's call the function fetch crypto data. So, oops, fetch crypto data. Now, this is going to be asynchronous. I'm going to create a video on what it means for us to create an asynchronous function, an async and wait function. But the basic explanation for this right now is that we want the console.log to run even when we haven't fetched the data yet. If this is not asynchronous, even if we're logging 10 consoles and 10, we're supposed to log 10 objects to our console, we're not going to see them till we fetch this data from the API. But when it's asynchronous, all this would run to the console before or even while this is running at the background. Okay, that is why we make it asynchronous. So using the callback function, we are going to use the try and the catch. Okay, so what are we going to try? We're going to try to make the request. So const response, I'm going to call it the response, which is what comes from a request. Axios dot, so this is why I say Axios is going to be used to make a request. So Axios.get, and the link is going to be this, in which we copied from here. Okay, and next up we need to make, we're going to into the coin/market. So all you have to do is, this is the API we're using. You could use any of this if you're working on something different, but for now I'm just going to deal on the markets. So we add /coin/markets. So this is the full link according to the documentations. So now we need a list of params, because if I just click on this, it's not going to take me anywhere. It's going to tell me API key missing and some other things. So for now, we do not need an API key. So I'm just going to get around the API key by changing this to api.coingecko, because this is the pro version of it. So api.coingecko.com. And if I click on this now, I don't need an API key, but I just need missing parameters. Okay, it's always good to get an API key, but we're trying to keep things simple right now. So we need the parameters. How can we get the parameters? Well, let's just start typing something. So we're going to be using the JSON format, JavaScript object notation, to get this in. So type in params, and so what should be in our params? So the first thing is the VS currency, which is the USD. How do we know? Go back to the VS code and click on markets. You see the first query is the currency. The next is the ID, which we not need. This is coming from list. Next is the category, which you do not need. We need this. Then we need this. We need the page, amount of page we are going to be using. So just scroll along and you see what we need. So we need this. We need the order, which is the market cap dex. Then we need the page per page. So I was going with 10. So I'm just going to go with 100 for now. Then we need the sparkline, and set this to false. So this is also coming from their website. Then we need the page to be 1. So that's it for the parameters on this request from CoinGecko. So now To get rid of this error, you just need to add the catch. Since it's a try statement, you must always add a catch. If the error is not there, you won't add the catch. So what do we need to catch from the error? So we could just console.log error fetching data. So that is the simplest thing we could do. You could also do some other things like displaying a fancy UI, but for now, I'm just going to leave it at that. Just going to leave it as this. Then we need to throw the error to make it visible. Fine. So this is the function. Now we're going to be calling this function, since we saved it, from another function. Remember we called the socket.io on the server just to make sure we get updates to that server and to the web page. So now we're going to create this server, this socket.io control. So we call it the socket.io function. So remember we called it as the IO. So the first thing we're going to call is the on method. And what I'm going to do on connection, we're going to say make this also asynchronous, and we're listening for a socket connection. So on connection, we're going to print to the console a user connected. So we can know when the data is ready. So we just print a user is connected or user connected. Then next we need to try. Now we're still going to try and catch. So forget about this error for now. So you just need to try. So we need to try another thing. First, we need to call this function and save it to another function, another constant. So we're going to say crypto data equals now fetch crypto data. So we're calling this function and saving it to this constant. Now next, we're going to call io.emit. And what are we emitting? We're going to emit this crypto data, which is this in which we have just saved. This constant was saved, and we're storing it as the crypto data. Next, we are going to catch or handle any errors while doing so. So I think I'll just do the same thing. Fine. So next up, we're going to put in the time for us to get this our web page reloaded. So we're going to listen for the updates every minute and send to the connected clients. Thank you. So now I'm going to set interval and using the popular set interval function from JavaScript. I'm going to set the interval, and also we're going to try, and we're still going to catch in case there's any error. So instead of using if statement else, you could make use of try and catch a lot. So instead of calling it, okay, you could just leave it at that, updated data. So we have to await this so it doesn't block any other thing we have processing in this function. I did not await it here, so please make sure you do await it so you don't block any other thing, any other place where we call a function. Okay, so after awaiting that, you need to emit using IO. And what are we emitting? We're still working on the crypto data, but this time we're calling it updated. Let's just go back to the crypto data, because I used this one that was suggested, but there's no problem. They call it the crypto data. So the same goes for the error. Okay, so I'm supposed to put async right here. I noticed prettier went red. That was why I was a bit quiet. So I'm supposed to put make it async before using await. Okay, so that is why it's good to have prettier. It helps you to know your error, the mini errors you make. It's not going to edit the code when you save, so it's just going to be red, so you know you're making an error. Okay, without any other further ado, we need to add the, when you set an interval for time, you need to make sure you add the that's the amount of time you're willing to let this function run. So I'm just going to put in every minute, which is 60 60,000 milliseconds. Okay, so please drag this function into this. So this has to do with the IO. We're still working on IO. Sorry, I made a mistake on that. So we're still working with IO, because on connection, this is what we want to happen. Okay, so we need all this to happen after the connection or during the connection. Okay, so in between this, you could set the time by saying 60,000 milliseconds, like I said earlier, and that's all. We're through with this whole function for calling the API. So the next thing we could do is we can go to our package, sorry, our tree, and we could set something, create a folder called public, and inside we're going to have index.html, and we're going to have style.css. So I'm just going to create I'm going to skip over the HTML part of it and the CSS part, so it doesn't have to take a lot of time. Okay, so we now have our CSS file and some few HTML. So now we added a link to jQuery, so we can have some features from jQuery, and also we have a link to the sockets.io, which I mentioned earlier, and from npm, which is the JavaScript client library. So we have to include it in our file. Now we need to go back to our server side and allow our server to use this folder so we can see it in our website. So we'll come back to the top and say app.use. We're going to send this over into our server. So say express.static, and we're sending public, which is the name of this folder. Everything in there, we're sending it to the server. So this is why we say Node.js allows us to run JavaScript. All these are JavaScript code. We're fetching this data and we're sending it to the server. So it allows us to run JavaScript on the server. Now, if you go over to here, we'll start writing the script for our socket sorry, cryptocurrency tracker. So what do we need to do? First of all, we need to open another script. I'm not going to create a new folder for scripts. I'm just going to do it here. We need to say const io, sorry, sockets. Yeah, so we're connecting back to the WebSocket server in which we created earlier using this io. Then we are going to update the function on the page. So we're going to use a constant called update, a function update crypto data, taking in data. So now we have to call another constant. So this is basically jQuery. In case you are not used to jQuery, this is a way of, I'll show you. So this is a way of accessing an object via ID in jQuery. That is why I have this jQuery link right here. So by accessing this crypto list, this is where we get all this crypto data displayed on. They are all list items. So we're getting this crypto list using jQuery, and in jQuery use this $sign and hash for IDs. So that is what we're doing right now. So don't be confused. So in this function for updating the crypto data after we've connected to the socket.io, so that we could be able to get the page to render when there's a change per minute. So now we're calling in this. So right here, we're going to map through each of this data. And we're going to create a list. So let's see, create, I'm sorry, crypto list dot empty. So this is another jQuery function. So next we want to do the mapping now. So data dot for each. So this is a for each loop. We'll have different type of loop. So we're using the for each loop now. So we're calling it crypto, and using the callback function, crypto list. We're calling now this crypto list in which we just highlighted and saved as a constant. We're calling it down here, and we're appending to it. What are we going to append to it? Since we're mapping, we're going to append each of this item which we mapped, and this is what we're going to do to it. So we're going to, let me close this off. Okay, so we're going to call an image, which is this image you see right here. So don't mind me, I'm trying to go around this using the shortcut, but I won't. I'm just going to type this out. So now we say list. So in between this, I'm going to put in some images, and in our source we're going to be having um we're going to be having the crypto dot image for the image source, which is whatever crypto we're mapping out, we need the image of that crypto. So it's a dynamic website, meaning each of these crypto are going to follow the same template, but we're going to be having a lot of them. So alternative is still going to be coming from the server, and it's going to be crypto. So how do we get this crypto? So this crypto is what we input here in our function. So this is what the callback function is taking for them. So each of the data that is coming in is going to be named crypto. That is why we say crypto.image, crypto.name. So that is why we're taking it this way. So next we need to make a div. So inside this div, we're going to make a class, and the name of the class is going to be, for CSS styling sake, crypto info. Next, we're going to create some h2s. I'm just going to accept this. So the first part of the h2 is the crypto.name. Now the second part would be in parentheses, and it's going to cover the crypto.symbol. Fine. So next is the price. So like we have here, the symbol, which is the BTC, it's ATH. Okay. So next, the price, which is this. So we're just going to use the paragraph for this. Okay. Now we're going to say price, and so we're going to be using $2 for this, and the other is just going to be the symbol for the price. So we're going to say crypto dot current price. So in case you're wondering how I get all this current price, symbol, name, if you call in this if you call in this API and you input these parameters in, you're going to get each and everything from the JSON. So at the end of this whole section, I'm going to show you how I got this. So now next, for the next paragraph, the market cap price, I'm going to accept this. Then we're going to set it to local. Local string. Now next is the 24-hour change. So which is crypto dot price change, crypto dot price change, yes, underscore percentage underscore 24 hours. So you can just add percentage in the front for it to look more real. Then the div closes and the list closes also. So that is that. So Next up, we need to, after this whole thing, we need to listen for real time updates from the server. So I'm going to call socket.io dot on, sorry, and remember the crypto data earlier. So we're going to call it again, and this time we're going to update crypto data using data. So these are the few things we do, or we're going to be doing for the HTML part of it in order to make this application work. So this part is just making the website dynamic. So instead of us creating each and every one of this hard coded with using our own values, we're currently getting these values from the cryptocurrency CoinGecko API. So we're mapping each of these 100 currencies, we're mapping them and we're sending them into our website. Okay, so like I said earlier, I'll show you how I got all this data. So head over to the browser, and on a new tab, you just have to set this up. And after copying this whole link, market slash, then you start adding, sorry, we put a question mark, meaning we're trying to put in some params, and the VS currency is equal to USD, and order is equal to market cap text, and per page is equal to 10. I'm just going to change to 100. Now page is 1, sparkline is false, and when you hit, you get everything from the API. Now what you could do is download this JSON viewer, so you get to view it like this, and it becomes so neat. So this is what we get. We get the ID, we get the symbol, which is what we did earlier. We said coin crypto from this map using this crypto. We're now saying crypto dot symbol, crypto dot image. Let's see. So this is the image, and when you come here, you get the image. Okay, so what you could do, you could copy this. If I say, okay, I need the image, I could click on copy path, and when I come to my VS Code and I paste, you see, you get dot image. So you will place this 0 with what you imputed here, which is a parameter, and you say crypto dot image. So the current price, which is this, the market cap price, which is this, and we did something to the market cap, we did to local string. So each part of the word has a way of rendering digits. So some use the full stop before using the comma. Some use the comma before using the full stop to recognize the kobo and all the cents, and so many things. Like some in Europe, they write, so we could just check that on Google real quick, how million is represented in euro. Okay, so in Europe, there are several ways to write 1 million, and the most common way is to use the period. So you can see they use the period right there, and some other European countries, they use the apostrophe. So that is why right here we use the market cap price to local. So however you're going to represent this in your, or however this is represented in your area, you're going to see it like that right here. So I'm in Africa and we use the comma to differentiate between or to separate currencies. That is why you see mine be rendered like that. Now the market cap rank, you see it is number 1. So many other things change per price per price change 24 hours. You see there the percentage change, the price change percentage of 24 hours is also here. The next is the Ethereum. So we're going to have this for the next 100 cryptocurrencies. Okay, so let's go back and we can save. After saving, please make sure you save all files. Now you can hit npm start. Sorry, so the error right here is that I already have port 8000 in use. So when you have something already running in your port, please make sure you delete the previous port or you continue using the first port which you created, which is this first one. So let's go back and check out localhost 8000 before we had hello world here, and you head over there, you'll see your data right on screen. So now we have 10 on localhost 8000. You could increase this if you wish to 100 and just wait, a user connected, and bam, you see you do not have to reload the page because we're using socket.io. With Node alone, you have to reload the page on every instance. But when using socket.io, you don't have to reload the page. It works like a normal server for a HTML and CSS file. So you don't have to hit the reload button, but whatever edit you make, it gets automatically done in the web page. So you don't have to hit the reload button like we do previously. So everything gets loaded to you automatically. So you could have per page, you could have 4 and user connected. So this is just if you have multiple pages, but me, I do not have multiple pages. I'm just showing how you could do this. So if you want to have, say, multiple pages, you can come here and create another in you know how you could make another index.html file, or you could use pagination, but we're just going to keep everything simple for now. So we're just going to leave it as this. So congratulations, you've successfully created a cryptocurrency tracking app or a cryptocurrency tracker, and I hope you had a lot of fun creating this project, especially working with Web3. So you're having so much to do. So if with this now you could keep track of some cryptocurrencies if they are worth investing in or not. So I hope you really enjoyed this project and you learned a lot of things from this project. I'm also coming up with another cool project very soon on Node.js. So keep focusing, keep learning, and also do not forget to read documentations and also visit so many websites like W3 School, MDN, and you grow from being a beginner to a pro in no time. Keep learning.
Our hearts beat to the city streets. We began to feel the fire. We rise like tall buildings as the chemicals they take us high.